Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football and pro wrestling podcast we bring you each and every day. Sorry for the delay there. I was waiting on Mark to jump on. He has something going on at the minute, so he might be joining us a little bit later. But I wanted to get his thoughts as well on a few things, no less Stephen Kenny and the Ireland situation, but also the Man United situation. So I'll jump back and forward in the chat anyway about it and see how it goes. We'll join in. We're going to be talking about Scotland qualifying. What a great job they've done so far. We're going to be talking about Mo Salah, a little bit of transfer news. What else have we got there? Yeah, mainly this whole United situation and stuff like that, which is taken over and stuff like that. But a few little pieces of the jigsaw are beginning to unfold, which makes things a little bit clearer. Why the Glazers didn't sell, and I said it from the beginning as well. But we'll take your comments first, and then we'll get into it and have a chat about it. What's the crack, Niall? How's your day been? I had a good day today, Henry. Not too bad at all. Come on, Niall. I wish you could start right now. So do I, mate. But I'm here now, so don't worry. We're here. It's all good. And we're not too late. What are we, a few minutes late? Maybe he's waiting for a guest. That's the one, Henry. Absolutely. Tonight, Niall and Mark are back. Mark might join us a little bit later. He's just dealing with something at the moment. But yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about United. Make sure, don't forget, like and sub to Niall and Mark before we start. Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. You'll never walk along. Appreciate that. Any Stephen Kenny sacking updates? What we waiting for? Yeah, after. And I don't know, Morris, if you caught his analysis afterwards. Were we talking about it? I think we were. I think you sent me something on his analysis, didn't you? Absolutely crazy. We'll also keep you updated as well on the friendly and the Euro qualifier going on at the moment. England have just taken the lead. I think Marcus Rashford, it's 2-1. Skamaka early on 15. Harry Kane with a penalty, leveling it up on 32. Harry Kane, he's so clutch on penalties, isn't he? And then Rashford has just taken the lead 2-1, the assist by Jude Bellingham. What a player Jude Bellingham is. Very loud, Morris. Hi, Henry. Hope you're well, mate. I'm good. You coming on my channel? He certainly is. Hit him up. Get in there. Get in the routine. Let's start, man. Absolutely. Acers. Stephen Kennedy's become the new CEO of Landis. Good Lord, Morris would have to leave. Of course I will, bro. I've had a heavy few months with working, gigging every weekend. Absolutely. Get in that schedule, Henry. Pop him an email. There you go, and he'll be on for you. Bellingham has just scored a worldie. I think the goal awarded to Rashford. I'm not too sure. It seems here like it was Rashford. Bellingham. Noel, please start. You're late. Sorry, mate. Rashford just scored a worldie after brilliance from Jude. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. You should place a bet on that, Acers. Place a bet on that. There you go. It's not up to you. You'll never walk alone. Henry, who said it was? I asked him, mate. Mate didn't demand. Easy, folks. Don't be getting head up in the chat. It's all good. We've a nice little community going on here. Don't be worrying. It's all about me. I was late, so it's all on me. Seeing the Musiala links today, we are apparently heavily interested. Yeah, seeing that all right. Yeah. Heavily seem to be interested in a number of players at the moment. Stephen Kenny's Xmas Prezi, P45. Yeah, absolutely. That could very well be the case. Right, so let's start. I don't think we have to talk. I wanted to get Mark's thoughts, obviously, on, just to let you know as well, Scotland and France halftime, 3-1 to France. Billy Gilmore opening up the lead on 11 minutes. Pavard equalising on 16, Griezmann assist. Pavard with a second to take it 2-1, Mbappe with the assist, and then Kylian Mbappe on 41 with a penalty to make it 3-1 at halftime. We'll keep you updated on that one as the night goes on as well. I don't think we have to go back through any Stephen Kenny stuff unless you guys really want me to. Morris, the gloves are off. They certainly are. The gloves are off. Sir Jim is best for business. Yeah, there's an interesting. It's kind of. I will be on Thursday night with Darren, and we're hoping that we'll have more information by then because the board meeting I think is on Thursday to ratify this agreement and sign off on how this is going to work because it's kind of a lot of it at the moment going around. A lot of it is conjecture and the unknown and stuff like that. So it's very hard to really get a grasp on it and stuff like that. So. This is the slide that I put together because, as you know, when this news all broke, the Manchester United fan base had an absolute meltdown. The club was dead. They were gone. They won't win out for another 20 years, all this kind of thing. But as the days have gone on, and obviously Sir Jim Ratcliffe's offer was the only offer on the table. And that's a kind of a conversation in itself, isn't it, really, when you think about how are these the only two that were interested? And it's clear from what unfolded. And with me very early on in this, I turned around and I said straight away, this club is not for sale. You don't sell brands like Man United. Man United is a globalized brand out there that it's a once in a lifetime situation. The Glazers very cleverly have positioned themselves within Man United where it doesn't really cost them a whole lot and they make gazillions out of it. Millions and millions and millions. And they have found a clever way of legally, I say, manipulating the market through sackings and appointments and all that kind of stuff that bears fruit nearly every 18 months, somewhere in the region of maybe 180 to 200 million. So the question that I put out to people is basically they don't care about football. They don't care about Man United. They don't care about who the manager is. All they care about is money. Billionaires only care about money. They don't have to worry money, wealth, all that kind of stuff. So they don't really care. For them, it's much easier if they can just like sack Ten Hag, share price goes down, buy a load of shares, appoint a manager, share price shoots back up, sell a load of shares and make an easy 200 million. So simple. So they use Man United as a club. It's basically a vehicle for them. But the ownership of that is key. And it was clear from the get-go that they had no intention of selling this. They dilly-dallied around until they found a solution with Jim Ratcliffe where they could stay in situ and hold control, but also get the injection of cash that the club badly needed without them having to put their hands in their pockets. Now, a lot of questions are up in the air at the moment about how the financials are going to pan out, what's going to happen to the 1.3 billion. History will tell you the club ain't going to be a huge beneficiary of most of that because that's what's happened in the past. If you look at the situation in there with the Glazers, they've done nothing, only take money out of the club, not pump in their own money. And this, regardless of whether you like it or you don't like it, is their money. And that's what's tough. So it's hard to know at a time where, the stadium needs a lot of work done to it, needs to be rejuvenated. Carrington is aged badly, so they either need to rejuvenate that or they need to build a new training facility, like similar to what Liverpool did, I suppose. But on top of that, there's other issues there as well. There's the accumulating debt that's there, the debt that's made up from the purchase of the club back in the day that they've been carrying and paying interest payments on. But also there's 300 million in there as part of that. I think last time I looked, it was about 970 million in total, nearly a billion quid, say, for argument's sake. But I think 300 million of that is ongoing payments due from transfer fees and stuff like that from previous deals and stuff like that. So that has to be looked at as well. And then on top of that, you look at this and you think, okay, clearly the Glazers didn't want to put any more debt into the club. So the clever way to do that is, you get this injection of cash that's brought in through debt as well. But the debt doesn't sit on United's books. It probably sits on Ineos's books with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And it's a very clever way of doing it. But then when you look at it and you think about how it's done, you talk about Jim Ratcliffe being worth 20 billion and stuff like that. A lot of that is not liquid cash. A lot of that is valuations in relation to companies and businesses and all these kind of stuff that he's involved in. So the talk is, and a lot at that level as well, it's probably cheaper. It works out better for you to borrow the money, assuming you're going to pay the debt down and not just carry it the way the Glazers did, than to use your own ready available liquid cash. That's how they rally up their wealth. So the talk is that if you look at it, they're going to be straddled with about 2.3 billion of debt. It's going to sit in different locations potentially. If it comes out that the money was borrowed, now we don't know whether that money was borrowed yet. Let's take some comments. So Jim is best for business. Like James said before on his live stream, we have been waiting to make a big signing for ages, like Bellingham, Tchouameni, and Caicedo bid. Yeah, absolutely. Qatar is interested in buying Tottenham or Liverpool. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Qatar went in and threw 4 or 5 billion on the table for FSG. Let me know in the comments. Would FSG take it? Because there's a lot going on at the moment, and we're going to talk about it. There's a lot going on in relation to these 3 p.m. blackouts that apparently that's going to, a lot of the Premier League clubs are now voting to get rid of that, which opens up a whole new wave of revenue. And that's why I'd say the Glazers have sat on Man United, because where that valuation is at, maybe, I think they value the club at something like 3 billion in reality, but they wanted 5 or 6 billion for it. So then they didn't sell it. I think they're looking down the line, and I think between the broadcasting fees and everything else is going to rally up, merchandise getting more expensive all the time, potentially the expansion of Old Trafford. There was talk that it was going to move to a 90,000 seater. So imagine the increased revenue off that as well. So eventually, if you look over a 5 or 6 year period, you could be looking at United. If this is done correctly, you could be looking at United being worth somewhere between 7 to 9 billion, maybe 10 billion, even, who knows? So these clubs are going to get more and more. You can see with Liverpool over the time FSG have been there. I think they bought the club on the steps of the court at 300 million or something like that. The club is now valued at, I think, about 3.2, 3.5 billion. So it's massive for these guys. And these are, as I said, global brands. They don't come for sale too often. If you think about it in your lifetime watching football and watching the Premier League, many times have clubs come for sale at this magnitude, and at that level. I'm not talking about the lower level clubs or the clubs that tend to be in the bottom half of the Premier League. I'm talking about the big clubs. If you look at the Chelseas, the Liverpools, the Man Uniteds, Man City's in there now, Spurs, Arsenal, these type of clubs, they don't come for sale too often. So that's the situation. So that's why they're unlikely to just unload. Acers, he wants to buy us. He wants to buy us, sadly. Can you imagine? Spurs need Qatar for a trophy. Yeah, maybe. Imagine Mbappe going to Spurs. Lord, can you imagine that? That's the interesting thing. The interesting thing I was thinking today as well about this partial takeover, the 25% and stuff like that. Jim also owns he owns Nice, or has a share in Nice, or whatever. I think he owns Nice, and he owns one other club as well. So, like, you're favorably positioned there as well. Now, this might not fit well with the Nice fans, what I'm about to say and stuff like that. But they could use Nice potentially as a feeder club into United. We were linked with boys there, Kefren Turam, Todibo was there. There's some good players there. They're second in the league, I think, at the moment. But his record at Nice hasn't been very good. I think in the previous 4 seasons before he took over, Nice qualified, I think, for the Champions League 3 times, or at least Europe. And I think in the 4 seasons he's been there at the head of Nice, they haven't qualified for Europe. And this is kind of the first season. So maybe it takes 3 to 4 years for him to put the rebuild in that he wants. The situation with the 25% is something that would concern me, because it means over the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see a process there of him increasing his percentage every period or whatever it is. And the question is, where is that money going to come from if United continues to evolve and get more and more expensive? And we can see that he couldn't raise the funds to meet the 5 billion, which I think even if he had of, I don't think it would have proceeded. I think it's suited for the Glazers to stay in control of the club, and Sir Jim again to put that injection of cash in there for a modest 25%, we'll say. Glazers are flat broke. I don't think they're flat broke. I think in terms of their priority with Manchester United, I just don't think they want to spend their own money. And from a business point of view, it's a very, very clever way of doing things. From a football fans' point of view, it's horrific. And that's really where the two meet. But as I said earlier in the show, I don't think the Glazers give a damn about football. I don't think they care about Man United. I don't think they even care who's the manager. I don't think they even care who's sitting in that CEO spot or director of sports spot and stuff like that and all. And then there's talk coming out of Thursday's meeting as well that potentially Jim will take over the sporting side of Manchester United. Now, I'm not too sure what that means. He could turn around. Let's suppose he's in control of transfers, and let's suppose he wants to sign a player. Um, the Glazers still have the power to veto that. So he's not really in control. Now, I'm sure the Glazers don't get heavily involved in that. They say it, look, so long as the money isn't coming out of their pocket, they don't really care. But I think they'll still, I still think they'll sit in the background. And where in the past they have hid behind managers and behind Ed Woodward and Arnold and Murta and guys like this and all, now they're going to be able to sit behind Jim as well. And if this goes south and it doesn't work out the way people think, not only are United fans then going to have to be dealing with the problem of the Glazers, they're going to also be dealing with the problem of Jim Ratcliffe and probably another pile of debt as well. So it's a very dangerous situation. It's a very risky way to go. It's a narrative that 100% suited the Glazers what they wanted to do right from the get go. I said it again right from the get go. This club was never for sale 100%. Never. Imagine Mbappe coming on for a Richarlison. Yeah, Jesus, yeah. Referee just got it all wrong. Calvin Phillips should have seen red. Yeah, I didn't see that. I'm not actually watching the match. I'm just tracking it here, but no surprise. If Qatar boys Tottenham, Arsenal are completely fucked. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because you see, you got to remember racers as well. It doesn't matter who buys. It wouldn't have mattered even if Qatar had bought United 100%. It will still take time to arrive at where you want to arrive at. We've seen it with Newcastle. Obviously the revenues at United would be huge as well, so it would be slightly quicker and stuff like that. But if you look at Tottenham, like you're still under financial fair play, which is reducing, I think, year on year by 10% now. Started at 90 and it's going to go down over 3 years to 70. So it's only 70% of your revenue and stuff like that you can do. So the key line there is in your revenue in terms of financial fair play. And it doesn't matter if your owner is a multi trillionaire. Within the confines of financial fair play is where you have to operate. Now, the question is whether they police that the way they should. That's a different debatable matter. But it doesn't matter so long as your owner is wealthy enough to sustain your club and he shows. The big thing with owners is not so much the wealth is a key thing, but it's the ambition. It's whether they care about winning stuff, or winning mentality and all that type of stuff, and to pump the money in to make that happen and have the right people in place to make the right decisions in those areas. Your sporting director, director of football, your manager, your coaching, your training facility, your sports science, how you treat your athletes, all that kind of stuff. That is key to success. And yes, a lot of that takes money, but you don't have to be venturing into billions and billions and billions to make that happen. But I don't think that's the case. Arsenal are on a good path at the moment. Um, Jim now wants 50%, not 25. You ain't getting 50%. That's not happening. If he goes down that road, the deal will collapse. They're not going to give him 50%. He ain't getting control of the club. No, because they're twats. Yeah. In the future, most clubs will be Qatar and oil funded. The game is already slipping away from the average fan. Yeah, and look, we said it before. We have a lot of opinions in relation to the Middle East and these different countries and all that type of thing. And I get that and stuff. But like the reality is every single guy out there who's a billionaire has stepped on millionaires' heads and millionaires' toes and has certain things in his closet or in his past that get you that point. There's very few people on this planet at the moment that are going around that are multi-billionaires or at that level of wealth that haven't stepped on someone. And you only have to go onto your Skybox or go onto your documentaries and stuff like that, you know, check out the Amazon ones, check out all these documentaries out there from these guys and look at their pathway to becoming these multi-billionaires and stuff like that. Someone gets treaded on along the way. He owns Gino too. Yeah. Genoa, yeah, Genoa's the one. Yeah, he owns the. Is it Genoa? Is it Genoa or is it the other one? Is it the Swiss team? I'm not too sure. Maybe you're right. You'll never walk alone. Could be. Yeah, he also was involved in wasn't he involved in the Mercedes Formula One as well, as far as I know. Morris Sir Jim will with the big Castor kit deal. Good lord. you imagine? So Jim is bringing in Paul Mitchell, sporting director. Yeah, there's talk of Paul Mitchell coming in as well. There's talk of two others getting involved as well. What's the other guy's name? Brailsford or something, Ford or something like that. The guy, I think he's operating at Nice for him, isn't he? And they were the two guys who came when the big visit happened in March, I think it was, to Old Trafford. The summon meeting basically about the bids and stuff like that and all. I think they were the two boys that travelled with him. But yeah, Paul Mitchell would be a fabulous appointment, and they're the kind of moves that you want to see. If you think about it, the fan base has gone from last Friday or whenever the news broke, absolute disaster. Club is done, finished. As the weekend has gone on and we've come into this week, it has mellowed a lot in the fan base. They're starting to get a better understanding of what needs to be done. So if they're talking about extending and renovating the stadium, if they're talking about bringing in someone like Paul Mitchell, um, I think he was formerly of Monaco, wasn't he, and Southampton. If they're the moves that they're going to make, they're very positive moves. And also having the links with Genoa, if it is, and with Nice, you could use them as feeder clubs back and forth and stuff like that for your youth, for your academies, for bringing players in, all that kind of stuff. They're very positive signs. The worrying thing would be the debt. The other worrying thing would be if there's a clash in the relationship between the direction that Ratcliffe wants to go and the Glazers the Glazers disagree with it, and there's a bit of problems there. We've seen this even in our own club in Liverpool, where there's been it's been quite fractured at a board level at times in relation to a sale or investment and all those kind of things. And it doesn't help when there's off-field stuff like that. Henry, don't spit your dentures out there, no. No dentures here, mate. These are all good. These are the real thing. I wish FFG just sell us if the Qataris want us because they need to sell sooner or later. The thing is, they don't need to sell. That's the thing. All these bigger clubs, they don't need to sell at all because there's just windfalls of cash coming at them all the time. Sponsorship is growing, game day revenues are growing, seating capacities are growing, um, broadcasting revenue is huge. Um, and if you're involved in Europe, if you're involved in the Champions League, the European competitions on top of the domestic stuff and all like that, you're absolutely creaming it in at the moment. So Kane just made it 3-1. Just seeing that there now, yeah, very good. Did you see Trent and Mata bought a stake in this Formula One car company? I did. I seen it earlier. I seen the picture. He was holding the jersey, I think, with one of the drivers, wasn't he? And they were signed and stuff like that. Interesting moves, but that's good. Listen here. I'd rather see Trent spending his money on that type of thing than this debacle that we've seen with Tonali as well. I just want to say, folks, and I should have mentioned it at the top of the show as well. Again, our thoughts and prayers going out to that situation in Brussels last night. Tragically, people losing their lives and stuff like that. So anyone who's been affected by it, our thoughts and prayers are with you tonight. And also, our thoughts and prayers are with the pro wrestling community. There was an issue last night, I think, in a WWE live event in Kansas as well, where there was a shooting. I'm not sure. I haven't had full detail on any injuries or passings or anything like that, but our thoughts and prayers are with those people as well. I should have mentioned at the top of the show, so sorry about that. I wonder what Fergie thinks of it all. Fergie doesn't care. Fergie's sitting back creaming it. Probably doesn't think much of it at the moment, to be honest, after losing his good wife. I'm sure he's quite distraught over trying to get over that and stuff like that. So I'd say the least of Fergie's thoughts at the moment would be in relation to his share in United. It's going to be interesting to see as well what the share breakdown is as well. What is this 25% made up of? How much of it is in relation to Glazer shares? And in terms of the Glazer family as well, the six that are involved, are any of them going to be fully bought out? Or is it going to be an even spread across the six? What way is it going to work and stuff like that? So that should be interesting. England 3, Italy 1. Yeah, come on, Acers. Here's Sir Jim wants Greenwood and Anthony to run the women's team. Oh God, that's the roar on the street. Absolutely. Do you reckon we could ever extend the cup? I think you're probably getting to a point with Anfield where everything just has to go up. It's mad you asked me that because I have a picture over the monitor here, over the laptop. of Liverpool. My mother bought me this picture in a market about, I think, nearly 35 years ago, I would say. And it's mad to see how it has changed and how it has developed and all that kind of stuff. And the picture that's there at the moment, it has the old, I think there's a Reebok sign there on the stand and stuff like that with the LFC, but it's just surrounded by those houses. So I'm not too sure. Um, I think they're doing it bit by bit to try and extend it and stuff like that. But I'm not too sure if there's an issue at that end, because that end of the ground is it's where you come in. That's where you get your the car parking and all that kind of stuff, isn't it? At the back of the cop, that's where you walk out and stuff. And I don't think there's a whole lot of room there to extend. But we shall see. But I'm sure that I don't think they can do much more extending in the two stands anyway. The job they've done on both those stands. I went to a Watford game there a couple of years ago, and I was up the back of the new stand, the big one. Jesus, it's frightening when you're up there. It's frightening. I wish we would, but in my opinion, it's too historic and it looks big on telly. But going to a match in the Cop, it isn't that big. Yeah, it isn't. But the thing about it is, I agree with you on the historic side of it and stuff like that as well. And I just wonder, would it carry that same feel about it if another layer was put on top of it? It might take away from it. I'm not too sure. I'm sure they've looked at it, but I don't know. I don't know. It's mad, crazy. Geordie's in. How are the lads? How are you, Geordie? Good to see you, my friend. Bloody hell, 35 years ago. Good on you for keeping it for that long. Yeah, it's kind of, my mum isn't with us anymore, so it's nice. I look at it every morning. I think about my mum. She bought it in one of these kind of markets and stuff like that. It was pretty cool to get. I think Liverpool will need to build a new stadium eventually, lads. It's nowhere near big enough. We lost our identity moving. Liverpool could do 100k a match easy. They could. And when you think about it, Morris, think about what you've said there. We lost our identity moving. That would be a massive. There was talk of this a few years ago with FSG, and it was absolutely binned off straight away by the supporters and stuff like that. It'd be very, very, very strange for Liverpool not to be at Anfield. Now, I know you'll say the same with Arsenal and Highbury and stuff like that. And if you talk to Arsenal fans, I mean, the Emirates is an unbelievable stadium and stuff like that. But there was certainly something when you talk to Morris and Warren, who does be on and stuff like that, and Dell and all these guys, there's even Lee Gunner and stuff like that. There was something special about Highbury and that North Bank and stuff like that. It's just you can't recreate that. You can't leave Anfield and move somewhere else and expect the Cop to be the Cop. Doesn't work that way, you know what I mean? And that's why that lovely stadium that they're building down on the seafront at the moment for Everton. It's going to be interesting to see their transition from Goodison into that and stuff like that. I'm thinking if they go to a shiny, bright new stadium and they lose any of that kind of atmosphere that they have at Goodison, I think that could potentially be grounds for them to go down. I think Goodison is a big part of why they stay the way they are. But I don't know. I wouldn't get a good feel about us moving. I remember in 2005 when Glazers were buying United and being linked with buying Ronaldinho from PSG was never going to happen. Yeah, and when you think about, look at the stories that have come in the last few days from Qatar and stuff like that. They were talking about bringing in Mbappe and Camavinga and all that kind of. If you have the money, and the thing about United is United from a revenue point of view and generation would be powerful enough to do it. Newcastle need to take it just a slight bit slower and stuff like that. But where would we build it? And Everton took the docks. That's also the point, Henry, as well. Where would you build it? Um, because if you look at Anfield, Anfield and Goodison are the fabric of that city. I talk about it all the time. It's so much more than football. It's a cultural thing. When you think about Liverpool, the city, and how ingrained and woven into the fabric of the city and the culture is football and music and it's such a unique place, And I just think, you even hear with United and stuff like that talking about they might build the potential of building a new stadium instead of looking at maybe if the renovation at Old Trafford is too much and stuff like that. Would it be going to a different site? Would they be look at developing the current site? What way would that work and all? It's just, I don't know. I don't get a good feeling about them. But you're right, Henry. Yeah, where would it go? Sorry to hear that, mate. I know it's been a while. It's been a while. It's all good. I just like having little things around that remind me and stuff. You'll never walk alone. Absolutely. Morris, football is a business now. We will see it in our lifetime. And you might say it in your lifetime, Morris. I might not say it in my lifetime. I have a few years on you, buddy. But we'll see. You'll never know. So it's just, I wouldn't mind, Morris. I only bought a little plaque on the champions wall mosaic and all, and I bought that I bought it for Ben. It was a picture of me and Ben when we first went over to Anfield. We were on the Cop, and we took a picture of the two of us sitting in the Cop, and that was the picture that I put into the mosaic. If you're ever over there and you see the champions wall, it's actually right under Stevie G's captain's armband. Really, really cool and stuff like that. So I was hoping that would be there for a few generations, that he could bring his kids over to see him and his dad and their granddad over at Anfield and all that kind of stuff. Just a nice little thing to have. Graham's in. Do you have any mixed feelings over Everton's new stadium is included in the Ireland UK Euro bid win? Do I have any mixed feelings? No, not really. I don't. Look, they're going to use the newest stadiums and stuff like that and all, aren't they? And look, um, there's so much more to that story that broke last week than just that. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of we stick by our guns, and even if we miss out on some money because of it, we stick by our guns. It's mad to think Stamford Bridge is 30k seater. Yeah, a lot of issues with that as well. Very difficult to develop as well. Now there's one that you will be talking about. Morris is saying in our lifetime. I could easily see with the ambition that Bowley shows and that Clear Lake group and stuff like that. That would be a get out of there and go somewhere. I could see that definitely. It'd be interesting to see how the Chelsea fans react to that as well. Stamford Bridge and the history that's there as well. But I don't think there's not an awful lot of room at Stamford Bridge. They looked into developing it before, but it's really, really tight. And I know on one side is on one side where all the railway runs and the feeders and all that kind of stuff. So it's very hard to develop over that and stuff like that. And also, and you think about it, if you look at Stamford Bridge being a 30k seater or whatever it is, they need double that. When you look at Stamford Bridge, even when you see Stamford Bridge on the telly, it's quite small. It's quite small. They're only a 10 pot club. There you go. You'll probably agree with you. Barely a 10. There you go. All the Chelsea hate pouring out tonight. Yeah, I went to my granddad's and it's crossed the water and it looks big and decent. Don't worry, like my dad says, we will soon get it when they go down to the championship. Yeah, imagine they had got relegated. We were close to building a new stadium in Stanley Park. Yeah, that was the one that didn't go through, didn't it? There was an issue, as always, with the council and stuff like that. And of course, is the head of the council. You might let me know. You'll never walk alone. I think the head of the guy in the council and the mayor as well. They're big Evertonians, aren't they? So normally when we apply for stuff, it's a laborious trial to get it through. Hey Noel, I hope I don't see it in my lifetime. I pity LFC fans after I've gone to the 97. Yeah, I can't see it. I don't think. Do you know them stones outside the main stand? Me and my dad have a stone there with our names on it on the floor. Yeah, the paving stones that are out there. There's benches out there, isn't there? There's memorial benches and stuff like that. And all. A lot of those stones, they run all the way up that side, don't they? And they go past the memorial, the Hillsborough Memorial, all the way up to where the buses arrive and stuff like that. Those stones are cool. I was going to buy one of those stones and I missed out on it. So when the Champions Wall thing came up, I was on it straight away. Really, it's nice to have something like that. It's really cool. It's a nice little kind of memento. Fair play to Villa Park for holding up as a Euro stadium. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank goodness the Prem is back on Saturday. Yeah. It's only when it's gone. And I don't know, these international breaks are a madness at the moment. To have two within 2.5 months of the league starting is crazy. And now there's another break in November as well. It's madness. Yeah, they have blue noses. Absolutely. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on this. There's so many layers to this, but Thursday is going to be a very interesting day news-wise when information breaks. As Acer says, maybe if he's trying to pile on and get 50%, that's going to be very, very interesting. Um, what else are we going to talk about? Here's a good one. Mo Salah. Um, his personal bodyguard has revealed that any gifts sent to the Liverpool superstar are checked for things that could kill him. Isn't that mad? Isn't that mad in the day and age that we live in? Of course, the shootings that we experienced last night, should we be surprised? But I'd imagine when you get to this level, everything has to be checked and checked and checked because you just never know. It lasts 5 years and it's been there for about 4 years, and then you can buy it to be there forever. And my dad might get it. Brilliant. What does it cost? Let me know what it costs. I can't remember what I paid for. The Champions Wall, I think, is a lifetime thing, the mosaic. And I think I paid something like £100, £120. I bought them for Christmas for Ben. So, yup, but that's the world we live in. Madness, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just thought this is interesting. It's just something very, very, very strange. What you make of this one? This ties in kind of with the Glazer situation. Premier League teams are increasingly calling for Saturday's 3 p.m. blackout of domestic games to be lifted by the end of the league. Yeah, I think this whole 3 p.m. blackout thing, I know we're all here and we're in the chat and all, and we all have ways of watching the 3 o'clocks. I mean, you can get a VPN, sign up to Peacock, and you can watch as many games as you want, or various other ways of doing it and stuff like that. So the days of these blackouts for 3 p.m. kickoffs and stuff like that, that has to go. They're gonna have to open up that floodgate, as teams demand more revenue as well, because obviously there's huge escalating costs in the clubs and stuff like that. So it's really, really important that they have more revenue coming in to be able to do what they need to do. But yeah, I think the days of the 3 p.m. blackouts, I think they'll go. It's only a matter of time before it spreads to the UK and stuff like that. Worldwide, most of the countries now get all the games, so it's absolutely crazy that is the case. Uh, Henry's letting us know France have just gone 4-1 up, I think, against Scotland. Didn't get the goal scorer yet, but I can check it out for you. And England have won 3-1. Henry's confirming it there in the chat. Um, Never walking on 150, 300. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, in around that. Yeah. The blackout was intended to ensure full capacities. Every Premier League game is 95 to 100% sellout. Absolutely, absolutely. And that, look, those days are long gone. You can't get a ticket now for love or money. So if that's the excuse, then it has to go after this season. And I don't think it's going to devalue the grounds. You're not going to get a situation when the grounds are emptying out. It's a very special day when you go to an actual match and have a ticket. And watching it at home is never the same. It's not the same feeling no matter what you do than experiencing it live. So I don't even know. I wonder even back then that even hold up. I know some of it's tied into the broadcasting as well, isn't it, Morris? That they don't want matches broadcasted and stuff like that. Not just the ground thing, but in terms of the deals they have, the Sky deal and BT and Amazon and all these other deals and stuff like that. But I personally think, let me know your thoughts on this in the chat as well. I think within a decade, within 10 years, I think clubs will have an app on a phone or an app on your TV or an app on whatever you stream your stuff. And you pay, like an LFC TV or a Man U TV or whatever it is, AFTV or whatever it is, and you will book your matches through that and stuff like that. And you'll be able to watch your matches. Um, I think eventually they'll see the money that's being made by Sky should be the money that they should be making themselves, and they'll develop the technology to do it. Or you'll get the Netflix version of football, and you'll be able to stream and pick whatever match you want every weekday when it's on and stuff like that. So should be interesting. The other thing they could look at doing as well for some of the teams as well is they could spread the matches out more, so they're not all just on at 3 o'clock. You could have a match. You could spread, like if you look this Saturday, what have we got? We've got Liverpool at 12:30. We've got matches at 3. We've got matches at 5 or 5:30. We've got a match at 8 o'clock. You could do the same on a Sunday. You could probably do matches on the Friday. You could go back to the old. Remember the great Monday night matches that we used to have and stuff like that. Monday night football. How exciting that used to be, going to the pub and stuff like that. I used to love it. Andy Gray and Richard Keys and stuff like that. And all they were cool times. Um, how many capacity do you think we need in Anfield so we can actually get a ticket? Last time I checked this, there's something like is there 20,000 on the waiting list at the moment for um season tickets or something like that. Something crazy it is. I was talking to friends of the family the other day, who are still trying to get on it, and they've been on the list for like 10 years and they haven't gotten anywhere near it. Um, you'd have to bump it quite a bit. And then you have to remember as well, just because you could say add on to the cop, say 20,000 seats, but you might get hospitality stuff and all that kind of stuff. So you may not necessarily get your season ticket holders, and you may not necessarily just get tickets that are readily available in a pool, because you'll have a lot of it will be corporate and stuff like that. Because when they put in these new seats, they use that as a vehicle for bringing in sponsorship and corporate, and these drink brands and all that kind of stuff that they get involved in the background. Um, there's enough money in the big TV companies for the blackout to be immediately removed. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, well, we're coming into 7 p.m. fixtures on a Sunday from next year. That's going to be interesting, isn't it? So it's cool. It's cool the way it's developing and to have that choice. Like, if you think about it, I'm really looking forward to this Saturday, because if you look at this Saturday, if you're off work, you have a whole day of football. Absolutely class. Um, 90 to 100k needed for Liverpool. Yeah, probably. Yeah. What are we at the moment? We're at 54 now, is it? And we're going to be, is it 54? And I think we're going to be up over, with the new stand opening, there's another, what, 8,500 going in or something. So we're going to be up around, say, 64, 65, whatever it is. So pretty cool. Getting close. Barca tickets are very accessible due to the capacity, and they're a huge club. Yeah, yeah. The only fear though is it's just, I don't know, that new camp. Um, if you look at the views from that back area, even if you Google it and you look at the view from those back rows, it's absolutely scary. It's frightening. Really frightening stuff. Um, give us your thoughts, folks, as well on this England and Coot officials. They're back refereeing this weekend. Let us know your thoughts on that. But what I did pick up on, I found a little piece on this man here, who was one of the greatest referees, I believe, to have ever lived. He was a sensational ref. But when you look down at some of the stuff he did and how his approach to football was and stuff like that, he could communicate in four languages on the field: French, Spanish, Italian, and English. And this is a guy investing in himself and investing in, his job and how professional he wanted to be and stuff like that. Hardly get that these days with referees and stuff like that. They're nowhere near the ilk of this man. Before each game, he studied the game and the players of the teams. He would lead and learn the names of the players and all that kind of stuff. And you could see the way his approach as well. And we seen it the other day with the rugby as well, how those on-field officials and the referees and all, they're in the heart of it. They're up in players' faces. They're telling players what to do, and I know it's a different sport and stuff like that, but I've often said this: when you look at referees in the Premier League, instead of seeking a way to be more proactive on the pitch to avoid having to give out cards and sending offs, they look towards doing that. Instead of, like if you take the Jota one, for example, go over and tap him on the shoulder and say, listen, calm down, will you? The next one you're going to be sent off. Have a quick word in his ear, pull him aside, stuff like that. Instead, of what the refs are doing at the moment is they take a step back, and as soon as it happens, boom, card, and he's gone. Instead of being more proactive, I think the referees, as custodians of the rules of the games and how they put it out there on the pitch, should be more proactive with the players in terms of gaining that respect on the pitch, having a word in their ear, talking to players more, pulling captains over and talking to them more, go straighten these things out and stuff like that. I don't think they're proactive enough on the pitch. Um, Mate, like my granddad and my dad said, you could use to pass the season ticket down, but now they give it to a random person, which is so annoying. Yeah, yeah, it's changed a lot and stuff like that. He was the best ever ref. Yeah, absolutely. And because of these things, during the 2002 World Cup final in Japan, Ronaldo gave him his shirt and the ball. The players from Brazil and Germany had congratulated him on his performance. Footballers had huge respect for him and even fear just by his presence. He is also the only referee who has been on a video game cover. There you go. And good reason why. An exceptional referee. And I was looking forward to having Mark on because I did this slide up for Mark. We know Mark's a ref and stuff like that, so would have been good to get his thoughts. What a guy! He took no crap from no one. No, and the respect was both ways. Remember, he had a huge amount of respect for players as well. I know we see a lot of the videos and a lot of the facials and all where he absolutely looks like something out of a Halloween movie or something where he wanted to kill players. But he had a huge level of respect for players out there, and he treated them with a huge level of respect as well. You had to push this guy a hell of a long way before he flipped out like that. But when he looked at you, his stare and his eyes were enough to let you know that he meant business. Don't cross him and stuff like that. Don't make him have to make a decision. But if you even go back and you look at some of the games that he refed, he was very, very proactive with the players. He was constantly talking to players during the game and stuff like that. Um, yeah, Acer's Pro, yeah, the Pro Evo 3 cover. Yeah, there you go. Man, I was searching for the cover today and I found it, but I forgot to put I wanted to put it on the slide, but I forgot to put it on. Dominic just scored a pen. That's good. Ice cold. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we want. But yeah, I thought I'd put that slide up there. I've been priced out of going to Arsenal games the last 2 years, so don't bother. 400 to 1,000 per ticket last year from Champions Travel Crooks. The same company were getting me a ticket and a hotel for €200. Yeah, we were the same. We went over to a number of games before COVID and slightly after it as well. And they used to do some great deals, especially for the Carabao Cup games and the Champions League games and stuff like that. There was always good deals to be had. But now it's outrageous. If 600 these days seems to be a deal for a one nighter with a ticket and all that kind of stuff, but it's an awful lot. It's a big chunk of change, and that's before Morris you even buy a drink, as you know. It's heavy going. What did we make of this? Wayne Rooney appointed Birmingham manager. The question is, can he do the same job at Birmingham that he did at Derby? He did an outstanding job at Derby, I have to say. Listen, I'm not a Rooney fan. I'm not a United fan, not by any stretch. But that job he did at Derby was unbelievable, to the point where he was even using his own personal money to do things and stuff, So really, really cool. Let's see now. 1, 2. Yeah, but really, really cool. So let us know your thoughts on this. Do you think he could lead Birmingham back to the promised land? Be interesting to see. But news coming out on that was interesting. Cheapest ticket is €400 for the ticket for Luton at home. And that, something? That's cheap for a Prem game, isn't it? It's mad, isn't it? Rooney signed up for Chinese new restaurant manager in Birmingham. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Yeah, crazy. But look, I'm sure he'll do well. He did very well at Derby. Let's talk about a little bit of transfer news. Morris, this is one for you. You're the Arsenal guy in the chat. Time will tell with Rooney, I think. Yeah, I think there's pedigree there, though. There's definitely pedigree there. Morris, let us know your thoughts on this. You've been linked with Ivan Toney. I was listening this week now, being linked with Ollie Watkins. Would you have a preference? Let us know if you would have a preference. You're the Arsenal man there in the chat. So let us know what would be your preference if you could get in January. If you could get Toney or Ollie Watkins, who would you go for? Be interesting to see. Had to bring this up as well. What an absolutely unbelievable job Steve Clark has done. I know, Morris, you're going to come at me here and go, yeah, and when you compare it to Stephen Kenny, absolutely. But Steve Clark, he's done an exceptional job with Scotland, hasn't he? And you see the guys that are performing for him as well, McTominay and all in there who are vilified at United and played in slightly different positions and different formations and stuff like that. But if there was ever an international manager out there that is absolutely ringing out the absolute best out of his players and getting the best out of his players, Steve Clark's that man. Scotland, after qualifying for the Euros now with 2 games to spare. 2 games to spare. Absolutely fantastic. Hats off to them. I hope they do well. I always like the Scottish team and stuff like that, and I hope Steve has a lot of success with them. And of course, we have our own links up there with Robbo and stuff like that and all. Morris, Rooney could come in handy for Kenny with the granny rule. Can you imagine? Tony will go to Chelsea for the money. Don't think so. Don't think that's where he's going to end up at all. I think Ivan Toney has ambitions of definitely going to Arsenal. Morris, I take both of them and ship the other two out. Yeah, now you're being greedy, Morris. Now you're being greedy. But can you imagine Arsenal with a Watkins and Toney in the team? What did you make of this whole as well on the subject of Ivan Toney? I've seen a lot of Twitters going out there, a lot of tweets going out there today, I should say, about Tonali and about this other guy, Fagioli, I think is his name, or something like that. He's getting a 7 month ban. But the narrative today coming out of it was, it was kind of like they were playing the pity card, really, like, oh, these guys are addicted to gambling and all, and they need help and all that kind of thing. When it was Ivan Toney, the FA just absolutely threw him to the wolves, didn't they? Yeah, so it's mad the way things are handled in a different way, isn't it? Tony has got all that court stuff. I wouldn't touch that with a barge pole. What court stuff has he got? I didn't see anything about court stuff. Update me on that, Henry. What court stuff has he got? I thought he was ready to go back in January. I would defo go for Watkins. Yeah, Clark, great job, and he can string a sentence together too. Oh God, we're still going in hard. We're still going in hard. I love it. Do we think Robbo will be fit or not? Absolutely not. The talk is he's going to be missing for 3 weeks, and there was a story out today. Was it by the Anfield Wrap or one of the bigger sources turning around and going? They were talking about whether it's time for Costas to now actually step up. He's after getting that new contract, so there's an opportunity now for a run in a number of games. Are we going to really see now the real Costas Tsimikas now? Is he going to step up and make that position his own? So then when Robbo does come back, say in 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it is, that there'll actually be competition there. Costas won't just get binned out of the team and Robbo straight back in. And the problem that we have at the moment is both boys this season have been pretty poor. So it's not the ideal situation. But it'll be interesting to see what way they approach it, because I've said it in the past with Costas. I was a bit weary of it, the new contract renewal as well, because he hadn't really stepped up in the way that we wanted. And we never really felt as fans either when he went into the team that he was going to nail down that position as his, and that Robbo was going to have to try and take it back off him. As soon as Robbo comes back and he's fit from these different things, he goes straight back into the team. Costas gets binned off. So that tells you about the levels of what you're at and stuff like that. But again, let us know your thoughts. Mate, it's so sad how we were so close to signing Manu line in the summer. Now we don't care about him, only if he didn't get injured. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame he got injured actually, and he looked a really, really good footballer. And now if it's going to be difficult because we want the Kefram as well, Kefram Thuram. And we're not going to get him now because I'd say you could see him potentially on his way to United along with Todibo, which will be two very good players for United. I'd actually pick Ollie over Tony. Um, interesting, interesting. I suppose just because he's fit and all, he's training and he's playing matches and stuff like that. Tony might need a month or two to bed in. Uh, Kone, yeah, Kone, yeah, Kone, yeah, yeah. I knew what you meant. Stan Kroenke won't be spending up to 100 million to Brentford owners. Well, Ivan Tony, I can tell you now, is not going to go for 100 million. Ivan Tony's going to go out of there for about 65 to 70 million. And the talk is that they're ready to let him exit the building and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I thought, that was my thing as well. I thought all that court stuff and all was dealt with, that the issue was the gambling and that he's ready to go back. He's back January 1, isn't he? So he could be, if he's back training and fit enough and all, he might be able to go right from the new year and stuff like that. He's good to go. I have to say, I think I would take Tony over Ollie Watkins. If they were both parallels in terms of their fitness and he hadn't been banned and he was playing stuff like that, I think Ivan Toney, that eye for goal. But I like the way Ivan Toney brings players into the game as well. I'm not too sure whether Ollie Watkins' play is at that level in terms of the link-up play and stuff like that. He's a fabulous finisher and he's a goal scorer, but so is Tony. And you look at Tony as well with his penalty records as well and stuff like that is pretty good. All the betting stuff, or has that been cleared? Yeah, the betting stuff is all done. He got the ban. He's serving the 6 months and he's due back in January. So it's all been dealt with as far as I know. Tony won't be 100. I'll tell you one thing. Could he go back to Newcastle? He could go back to Newcastle as well. Tony won't be 100 million. His contract is running down. Place a bet on it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking Morris somewhere around 60, 70, and that's the feelers that have been coming out of Brentford. And Brentford look like they're happy for him to go as well. Yeah, all clear, Henry. Yeah, absolutely. Massive blow for Klopp for City game without Robertson. Um, he could be back for the City game. When's the City game? I think the City game for us is in November, is it, or something like that? He'll be back for that. That I'd say that situation with him is probably 3 4 weeks. I'd say. So he should be back for that from January. Yeah, he's back from January. Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know. That's why I commented. Yeah, absolutely. It was all dealt with. Henry, that's been sorted. That's why he has been banned for so long. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Niall, I've got a question for you. Who you rather we sign, Manu Kone instead of Gravenberch, or no? It's a good question. I probably would have went for Kone, but I'm not disappointed in Gravenberch at all. I think we're going to see a hell of a lot from Gravenberch over the next few months and stuff like that. And if you see the way he's gone in there already, I mean, he was just how close was he to sealing that Brighton game? Just so unlucky and stuff like that. But I think Gravenberch, he's going to be. I think that offensive side of him where he gets forward and stuff like that, and there's goals in him and stuff like that, and that's really what we're looking for as well. If we can start getting in some goals from our midfield and stuff like that to really help out the front line, that's going to be so important. And especially with Salah heading off to the AFCON and stuff like that, we're going to need goals coming from him and McAllister potentially. So what we're really going to have to do is we're really going to have to get a proper six in there, aren't we? I mean, that should be our goal in January. Our goal in January should be bringing an actual proper six so we can release Sabozaloy, so we can release McAllister, so we can release Gravenberch, so we can invert Trent properly, all these type of things, So that's what I think is going to be important. Tony played behind closed doors at Arsenal last week with Brentford. Yeah, absolutely. Will he sign the pre-contract, Morris, was it? The end of November. Yeah, end of November. Yeah, Robbo will be well back for that. Yeah, Luke, my dad said Crouch said he thinks Gravenberch will be good at Liverpool, and my dad said Crouch barely gets anything like that wrong. Yeah, Crouchy's documentary actually is pretty cool as well. Like not Luke. Yeah, yeah, like my dad said. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No, I think it'd be good. You can kind of see it in them that they hit the ground running and stuff like that, don't they? They're you can see it in them and stuff like that. Do you know what I love about Ryan Gravenberch as well? I love the way in tight spaces when he picks up the ball, the movement of him with the ball close to the feet and stuff like that, and all of a sudden he can develop a yard of space out of nothing, which is a real good sign and stuff like that. And he seems really happy there as well. And do you know what I was really impressed with as well when he moved over first? He didn't go on international duty, I think, with the under 21s or whatever it was. He refused to go because he wanted to settle into Liverpool and get everything tied down for that last international break. Now, I know Koeman has come out since and just being a dick about things basically and stuff like that, which you'd expect from Ronald Koeman anyway. But I think that was a really, really important thing to see that he was focused on the move to Liverpool, settling in, putting down roots, getting everything organised and stuff like that, rather than going international duty. I think that was a big message. I think to Klopp as well. He likes to see stuff like that, So really, really important. Um, I gotta go now. Good night. No problem at all, Henry. See you soon, pal. Thanks for dropping in. Scott McTominay is 100 times the player Kai Havertz is. Um, yeah, work rate, definitely. Work rate, definitely. Is Kai a more what McTominay gives you in heart and work rate definitely outweighs what Kai would give you in kind of finesse and skill. And like I've said before, I'll always take guys with work rate and heart, but you need a blend of the two. Would you take him? You take him, Morris, would you, at Arsenal? You take his energy at Arsenal, would you, I'd imagine? Big up, chap, big up, Henry. What else have we got? Have we got anything else lined up? I think that was really it. Yeah, covered everything. Right on the hour mark, we've covered everything. Let us know if there's anything else in the chat there you want us to chat about for the next few minutes. I'm happy enough to stay on for another 5-10 minutes if people want to throw anything in there they want me to chat about or anything like that. Impromptu Q&A if you like and stuff like that. Don't forget, folks, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, Pro Wrestling Weekly. We're going to be on. We're going to be talking about some great stuff tomorrow night. There's some interesting things lined up. And I also started work on that Mount Rushmore show that we want to do. So that should be interesting as well. And then, of course, Thursday, don't forget, 9 o'clock Thursday Tier Talk with myself and Darren. We're going to be giving our tips and picks for Beat the Bookie. We're going to be talking about all the latest news. Hopefully, we'll get some more information on the United Takeover. So we'll discuss that. I know Darren is quite disappointed in the way it's gone. You could see him talking last night and all about it and stuff like that. He was a little bit down about it, but maybe some of the news that comes out might brighten it up a little bit and it might ease it a little bit for him. I know it's very, very disappointing when you were so close to the promised land, and it gets taken away, and then it's a sadder substitute, really, isn't it? Isn't that the way of looking at it? Scott would have been the ideal replacement for Shaka. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Interesting. Good shout, Morris. Yeah, Mount Rushmore of WWE referees. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I did have a look at a few. Today. I had a look at a Mount Rushmore. There's a website out there actually does a breakdown of 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, all the way up. But they also look at tag teams and they look at women and there's a few other ones in there and all, but they're pretty cool and stuff like that. It's gonna be a very very, very interesting show. And as always, myself and Darren won't share that with anyone. We'll keep it authentic, as they say. We'll keep it 100. Mount Rushmore of Vince McMahon firings. You need a lot more than Mount Rushmore for that. It was the biggest one. Bischoff goes on there, doesn't he? Into the dumpster. Bischoff will be one of them you'd put in there, wouldn't he? Who are we going with? Earl Hebner, Jimmy Corderas, Lil Nate, and Tim White. Great shout. Great shout. Not bad at all. Yeah. Jimmy Corderas, he does his own, doesn't he? Wasn't he doing his own podcast for a while? I don't know whether he still does it. Haven't seen it popping up anywhere as a recommendation. I used to listen to it. He'd do these little 10-15 minute shows giving his thoughts and stuff like that. Little Nate, he's just unbelievable. Those videos of him running down to the ring, and especially in those Mania ones where he's running down and like the oil is just half a mile long, and you just see him, and he's so small and the little legs and everything. Now, Tim White, yeah. Tim White's a great show. Earl Hebner, of course. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So that's it, folks. Another kind of Monday, Tuesday mashup into the bag, if you like. Some interesting topics there. Certainly the news out there at the moment for us is really the United takeovers taking up most of it at the moment, along with this issue in Italy with obviously the shootings and all, and obviously the issue in Italy with the gambling, and then obviously the Stephen Kenny situation. I was in contact with Tim about a show before he unfortunately passed. Yeah, it's always the way, isn't it? It's always the way. You always see. We always think these guys are going to be around forever, don't we? Even when I go to WrestleCon, Morris, I do think, okay, I'll meet this guy, and I'll catch this guy next time. And then you go next time and he's not there. I had booked in to meet Tiny Lister Zeus, and it was cancelled because of COVID. And when I went to book again, of course he had passed away. So I never got to meet him. And I have a Funko over there, an actual custom one I got done up a Friday one, and I wanted to get it. I wanted to get it done. Friendly Top Bar. Friendly Top Bar. Interesting. Yeah, that's it, folks. So I will love yous and leave yous until next time. Can we get Darren to sort the bed out Thursday, please? Absolutely. We'll bring it up. We'll bring it up as a topic. Definitely bring it up and get it sorted out. You want him to go with you to Holland, don't you? You're pushing him to go to Holland. I'm pushing for him to go to the Rumble, so I'm not too sure whether he's going to be able to do that either. So we'll see what happens. But sort the bed out once and for all. Decide what you want to do. We'll sort it Thursday. No problem at all. Until next time, folks, of course, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. I hope you're enjoying all the shorts and all the other stuff. As I said, tomorrow night, like 8 o'clock, our pro wrestling midweek weekly show that we do. It's always a fun show, light-hearted, always good crack. Morris, you'll never walk alone. Boy, Noel, bro, enjoy the rest of your evening. You too, my friend. Catch you tomorrow at some stage. Yeah, but I'll meet in the middle. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you'll meet in the middle. Until next time, folks, have a safe evening. Give your loved ones a hug. Everything that's going on in the world at the moment, it's horrible. Israel, Palestine, shootings in America, shootings in Europe, and all this kind of thing. Take advantage of every minute when you're with your loved ones and stuff like that. And until tomorrow at 8 o'clock, we'll talk to you again real soon. Cheers, folks.